Well, football fixtures do not come much bigger than this. We are back here in E10 and the O's, with the playoff fate in their hands, need to win today to keep that playoff dream alive. And our opponents today are, of course, Wycombe Wanderers, who need the points themselves to maintain any hope of automatic promotion. So, everything to play for. And we are bringing you all of the action here on Orient Live. And I'm delighted to be joined here in the studio this afternoon with two legends of the game. It's Joe Widdowson and Kevin Lisby. But I don't know how we're feeling, guys. A little bit nervous. It's 2 games to go. This is business time.
Yeah, I'm excited, Ollie. I think, it's a huge opportunity, isn't it, for the club? I think, there's so much excitement. We're a couple of games away now from the end of the season. In the playoff places, in control of, our own destiny, and there's just so much on the line. I just hope that, the boys can try and, enjoy the occasion as best they can. Use the tension and the excitement as fuel to go out there and perform and hopefully get a good result today.
It's a tough game though, Kev. Played another of your teams last week, lost 4-0. They'll probably be looking for a reaction. They're a good side, and they're in that automatic area for a reason.
Yeah, I think it can go 2 ways. I think they can come here and obviously look for that reaction and hopefully not get it, or they can be affected by the result from last week. And it wasn't a close game. Charlton were really good and they dominated the game and obviously won 4-0. So hopefully there's a few scars there and it takes them a while to get over that.
Well, we'll take a look at the starting lineup very shortly, but first, before we do anything else, let's hear from the main man, the gaffer, Richie Wellens.
Our subs have been good. Our subs are going to play a huge role in the next games. So the likes of Azim, Randell, who started the game but come off at half time, Dylan Markant, they're going to be huge for us because the freshness is important, and we want to start at a certain intensity, and as the game develops we want that intensity to go up.
And just looking back to that game on Friday, is one of the best crowds we've seen in E10 in a long time, one of the best atmospheres at a league game. We're going to need to duplicate that again. Final home game of the season. What's your message?
I don't think we need a message. I think the game speaks for itself. We work all year, myself and the players, to give the supporters great days out, great days at our own stadium, and now we've got to a stage where it can be the best possible outcome this year. We was never going to get top 2. The competition and the finances in the top 2 or 3, it's too much. So we've got ourselves to a situation where we can we've had a great season anyway. Let's be honest, we've had a great season. But can we go the extra step and make it a memorable season where people can look back on and remember it forever? So it's up to us to do that. I don't think the message is clear from us. Do what you've done against Barnsley, do what you're going to get against Man City, and come make it colourful, make it loud, make it difficult for the opposition. Because again, when they're at it, I never felt 3-1 down against Barnsley. 2-0 down, we was very, very good. We got it to 2-1, and the sucker punch of 3-1 could have killed most teams. But I think our supporters stuck with us, even at 3-1 down. Players took confidence from that. And when the crowd are like that, you never feel out of it, especially with the way that we play and the intensity that we play. So more of the same. And like I say, let's see if we can make this season one. It's one of the biggest games this club's had in the last 15 years. So let's have a few more bigger games down the line.
Then let's take a look at the starting lineup and see what formation and Richie has opted for to try and achieve the dream today. So starting in goal for the O's is Josh Keeley. We'll have to unpick this one. So it's a back 3 that it looks like today, with Brandon Cooper and Romani Edmonds-Green either side of Omar Beckles, who wears the armband. Randall Williams is at left wing back with Ethan Galbraith on the other side at right wing back. Sean Clare and Jordan Brown shore up the midfield, with Jamie Donnelly, Dan Adji just ahead of them, and Charlie Kelman leads the line, the league's top scorer, hoping to add to his tally today. And on the bench for the O's is Noah Phillips, Dom Ball, Darren Pratley, Ollie O'Neill, Jalang Jayasimi, Dylan Markande and Azim Abdullahi. So it looks as though Jack Curry picked up that knock on Easter Monday. That's keeping him out. Richie's gone for a slightly different approach. We haven't seen this much this season.
Yeah, we haven't seen the 3 at the back hardly at all really this season. I think the odd occasion he's used it, but obviously it's a blow to have Jack Curry missing. He's been so consistent, down in that left back spot throughout the season. But I'm actually, I'm quite happy with that shape and the formation. I think hopefully we can use it as like an offensive Three at the back with wing backs. Hopefully have our two wide men getting in attacking areas, putting in crosses. The likes of Jamie Donnelly and Danaji getting in good pockets to hopefully cause Wycombe some problems.
And defensively, Wycombe are a threat, of course. That back three, as Joe said, it can be offensive, it can be defensive, but it looks as though Richie's kind of dealing with the cards he's been dealt here a little bit.
Yeah, and also, I mean, systems are systems, and you're asking the players to be, and I'm sure the manager, to be a little bit flexible in any shape. And as you say, when we're defending or if we're under a bit of pressure, then you can sort of get the wing backs in, and if we feel like we've got a hold of the game, you can sort of push them up and it becomes a free, and then for me it's a lot more offensive then. So I'm hoping within that formation he's asking them to be positive and brave and get those wing backs high and get people in the box.
It is more of a 3 than a 5, isn't it? You look at those wing backs there, they're not defenders first and foremost, they're obviously good in those positions, but they're attacking fullbacks.
Yeah, exactly. We know that the likes of Randall Williams, he's got pace to burn, loads of energy. He's a winger by trade, so he'll want to be getting further forward. The same with obviously Ethan Galbraith, not a natural defender, so will be more comfortable higher up the pitch. But I think as long as we can kind of keep that back three, nice and solid and compact, Edmonds, Green, Beckles, and Brandon Cooper, hopefully they can, and then maybe Jordan Brown just sitting in front and screening and protecting a bit. Hopefully, can give those guys license to get on and do their stuff going forward.
And defensively, then what those back three need to do? They've got a job on their hands, having to deal with Coney. An incredible story, really. His journey to where he is today. He's a good striker, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're a defender, I think in a back three, if I was playing, I'd feel a lot more secure in a back three. You stay close and you're asking the midfielder in front of you to sort of protect you. And then it also almost then becomes a back four anyway. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see any problem. I actually like this formation, and then as you say, we've got wing backs that are used to attacking. So I see it as an offensive formation.
And looking at the back line, we've had so many injuries, especially since kind of January. We've dealt with those injuries. We've played different partnerships. We've played slightly different shapes and setups, but we always deal with those issues. We've come over them with success so far.
Yeah, we have. We've adapted really well. The back four especially has chopped and changed throughout the season. People have had time out with injury. In fact, the injuries at the back have been, horrendous all season long. But I think because Richie's such a good coach, he manages to get his message across to the players. I'm sure today, despite going to a 3 at the back, we'll still want to try and build from the back, play through the thirds, and I think we can try and dominate the ball. Hopefully, I think this formation, I like it as well. I'm a fan of it, but I think the key is having the ball. If you have the ball, it becomes an attacking formation. If you let the other team dominate, then you tend to get pegged back, and the wing backs then becoming fullbacks, and you don't want to be sat in a back five, just absorbing pressure all game. So hopefully we can be brave in possession, get on the ball, and try and make it a defensive shape.
Let's take a look at Romani Edmonds Green here. He's been coming in January. He probably didn't expect to play as much football as he has, but as we see here, he's been probably the mainstay and been playing with the backline changing around him, and he's done really well, and he's really impressed since joining from Charlton.
Yeah, I think he's got better and better. As his time's gone on at the club, I think he sort of came in and perhaps wasn't completely up to speed in terms of his match fitness. But as the games have gone on, he's looked better and better. He's looked sharper. He's looked strong. Got good recovery pace. Physically competes well. And he's had different partners at centre back as well. He's played on the left side of the defence, the right side of centre back, and he's looked really assured and composed, and he's done a good job. And especially with it, as I said, the injuries that we've had, he's come in and he's done a really good job in there.
And I guess at this point of the season, Kev, it's not going to be all about the performance. It's about the points that back three, that back five, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't have to be pretty at this point of the season. They've just got to do their job and keep Wycombe out.
Yeah, I think we've gone way past that pretty stage of football now. I think it's the business part, and for me, it's important that you're always involved in this part of the season, and that you've got something to play for. And I think the manager's key. Both managers look at the Charlton team and look at Leyton Orient team as well. And I think is the managers then now for me earn their money. How they set their team out. Do they install certain disciplines in their team? What they do off the field, what they do on training, mindset, getting everyone ready for these last two games. And I feel with both teams, Charlton and Leyton Orient, I feel that they've got managers that maybe can see them over the line.
And I mean, we only need to look at the last 4 games. we probably want to stop going a goal behind or a goal or two behind, but it doesn't matter. We're knowing how to get over the line, as Kev says.
We are, and we're getting a bit too used to getting a goal down before we, it's like we almost have to concede before we wake up and start playing. And I think you have to give the team huge credit. Like they've come from behind on so many occasions. It's almost now we're at the point where we go a goal behind, and it's almost expected. And it's like, all right, no panic. We've been here before. We know what to do. But I think it's definitely something that the coaching staff will be trying to get across to the players. Look, we need to start games better. We need to give ourselves a better chance and not giving ourselves such an uphill task in games, because yes, we know we're capable of doing it, but if we can start with that same urgency, that same tempo that we're finishing games, then we should hopefully be a lot more comfortable in winning games.
I don't think you want to start conceding this point of the season as well, the first goal all the time. I think you're giving yourself mountains to climb, and now you're playing against the best teams. If you do get into the playoffs, you're playing against good teams that want that first goal and then obviously sit back and pick you off. So it's really important that I know we've got out of our system and it's worked recently, but I think from now on you don't want to start conceding. These are the important part of the games now and important part of the season where you want to get the first goal, you want to sort of stay in your shape, and you want to sort of counter-attack and pick teams off. You don't want to be doing that the other way around, especially over two legs if you do get in it.
It would be nice to not have to do it the hard way, but do you think as a team, as a squad with that spirit, do you think it's maybe not taking its toll, but it's going to take a lot from the players, and they've got to deal with that emotionally, physically? It's been a big slog.
It has. It's been a real slog. It's been such a long season. I think just as a player now, you get to this point in the season and you look back at pre-season, those early games, getting through the busy Christmas calendar, and you've come so far, and it takes its toll, definitely mentally, physically. But I think it's important to try and as much as possible just keep that kind of like that freshness and that positivity, that do you know what I mean? That optimism going into these games, because like you said, when you are conceding goals in games, having to come back time after time after time. Yes, you come in the dressing room afterwards, and it's that great feeling, that great buzz. But you'd much rather do it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? As Kev said, keeping it tight, keeping it solid, giving yourself a chance in games, keeping goals conceded to a minimum, and hopefully just scoring one or two. If you're keeping clean sheets, give yourself the best chance to do.
I think it's a worry when you concede a lot of goals. Yeah. As a striker, I think you feel the pressure. Obviously, you're a defender and you feel the same sort of pressure when conceding. But as a striker, you're feeling maybe I have to get 2 or 3 goals to keep us in a game, and then you're thinking, and that puts a pressure on each chance you get, because you're going to concede a goal. So I think I've always been quite when my defenders are actually defending, we're keeping clean sheets, I feel like my goals come a lot more often as well, because I feel comfortable in my defence. And I think it's quite important, as you say, like you think about those pre-season moments, you think about the Christmas period, and it starts to weigh heavy on you a little bit. Do you know what I mean? All those months of the hard work, and now you're at the end part, and then you get a little bit anxious. So I think defending is quite important, and keeping clean sheet is quite important in this part of the season.
I think it's a concentration thing as well, isn't it? It's a focus. Do you know what I mean? Going into these games, especially where you can't get away from it. There is a lot riding on it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? There's that bit more tension, that nervous energy, and it's about I think it's whichever team can kind of keep calm, keep composed, do their jobs, do the things that they've been doing throughout the course of the season. But when it gets to this time of year and there's that little bit extra nerves around, sometimes players can make wrong decisions. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Not quite. Time a tackle wrong, make little mistakes. It's funny. It's what the mind can do, isn't it, when you're under pressure? But whoever can keep their cool, keep their composure, and keep focused, I think, kind of is the team that goes on to get promoted.
One man who really has kept his composure and really looks to have locked in, Charlie Coleman. When he's in the form he is in at the moment, it does feel like we can concede a couple of goals, and it's all right because he'll get a couple too.
Yeah, it's funny. I was speaking to someone yesterday about obviously Leyton Orient and Charlton, and that's the difference between both of those teams. They've got goal scorers in their team who at any moment can nick a goal out of anything, and they're comfortable and they bring a lot to the team. And I'm sure as a defender as well, when you've got someone up there who's got 20 odd goals, you still feel comfortable that you're going to win games, and I'm sure that makes you a little bit more secure, knowing that if we do keep a clean sheet or we keep it to 1 goal, he's going to get 2 or 3 goals and win you the game. And that's why we get paid the big bucks.
And how do you think it's going to shape up then with Dan Adji and Jamie Donnelly around him? What we've predicted in our graphic was that maybe 2 10s almost, they'll maybe pull out a bit wide, but we've got the wing backs as well. Or is that 3 central attackers? How do you expect this one to shape up?
Yeah, I think I can see it looking like really kind of like fluid and flexible, because you've got Jordan Brown, you've got Sean Clare, who are quite naturally more defensive minded, who will sit there, they'll protect, they'll compete in there, win tackles, and then they'll just try and free the likes of James Donnelly. We know he likes to roam, find these little pockets to work in, and Dan's so unpredictable, but I can see him trying to maybe switch between left and right, trying to find space out wide where he can use his pace. Do you know what I mean? He can take on fullbacks. He can cause absolute havoc when he's in the mood. So I can see it being quite a flexible shape. Hopefully we can just manage to get them on the ball in those areas, and I think that's the key: finding them in space and letting them go and do their work. And then obviously, we know that Charlie's obviously in the form of his career.
Yeah, it's a bit like five-a-side, isn't it? Like when you play five-a-side, the players, you see spaces and you'll go into it. Someone will see you go into a space and they'll go into another space. So yeah. I agree with you. I think with those 3 up front and you add the wing backs there, I think it'll be about identifying where spaces are and not being rigid in an A formation and sort of getting on the ball. And the big point is that we must get these boys on the ball in the right areas, and I think that's the key part.
And when you do, it feels like all of those boys up at that top end of the pitch. You see Jamie Donnelly's goal on Monday. It was a moment of magic. It feels like they've all got that ability for those match-winning moments. Yeah,
they have, absolutely. I think, we all know, but the form Charlie's in, you'd back him in front of goal. At the moment, he's in brilliant form, and I think Dan, another player who we know on his day, I think he can be unplayable at times. Strong, quick, can go both ways.
It must be hard work to play against as well. I know he doesn't, but every time I've watched him play, as a defender, you must think unpredictable, innit?
Yep.
Strong, powerful, and
can go either side as well.
Yeah, can go either side, and he is really consistent in what he does in terms of work. He never, despite what sort of game he has, he always gives 110%. And then you add people around him with a little bit more technique, a little bit more goals, and I think it's a really good balance.
Yeah.
Well, just over 10 minutes to go until kick-off, and what a massive game it is here in E10. And of course, don't forget, if you're watching along live on the YouTube preview stream, then you can watch along with us here on Orient Live for just £10. If you're in the UK, you can listen along with the audio pass as well. So just head over to the Match Centre on the Orient website to pick up the pass for that one. And of course, supporters are also reminded that season cards are on sale, with all fans now able to purchase. Existing season card holders have their current seats reserved until 5 p.m. on Friday the 2nd, and maybe the price is frozen for all fans up until this point as well. So make sure you are part of the journeys. But now, before we take a look at the visiting side, let's hear from Romani Edmonds-Green, and we hear his thoughts ahead of this afternoon's clash.
I'm really enjoying it. I've come in, I've played a lot of games, and I'm enjoying doing what I love, and that's playing games and playing football. It doesn't matter who comes in or who comes out. It shows that we have the chemistry as a defensive line. So either it's Bex, Haps, Simo or Coops, it doesn't matter who comes in. It just shows that we got the good connection and that we work well together. I think it shows that the character in the group is one of our main assets. We never say die attitude. We never know when to give up. It just shows the togetherness that we have as well. We won't stop until the final whistle, so which is good. To be in this position with 2 games to go is it's a good feeling, and everyone's buzzing after the Cambridge and Barnsley win. I think taking that into tomorrow's game is going to be massive. We just got to go there, try our best, and hopefully get a result out of it. That's all we can do really, is try our best. Yeah, obviously they're going to be looking to react, but we need to win this game as much as they do, so I think it's going to be a really good game. Hopefully we're the ones on the other side of it that win the game. Oh, massive. You saw, especially at home, I think that you saw what happened at the Barnsley game. When they get going and they give us that extra boost, we feel unstoppable. It shows at the Barnsley game, so tomorrow, full house. Just can't wait to get out there and can't wait to see the old fans and give them a good performance.
Right then, without further ado, let's take a look and see how Wycombe Wanderers line up for this clash. Of course, chasing those automatic promotion spots. Still in goal for Wycombe is their number 50, Will Norris. It's a back three for them as well, with Caleb Taylor, Sonny Bradley and the captain Jack Grimmer in the defensive positions. Across midfield we have Luke Lee, Daniel Udo, Josh Scowen and Xavier Simons. The three in attack is Fred Onyedima, Cameron Humphreys and Richard Coney. And on the bench is Franco Ravazzoli, Joe Lowe, Alex Lowry, Gareth McCleary, Adam Reach, Kieran Sadlier and Tyreek Bakinson. So, both teams needing the points here today, and Wycombe, as we've already touched on, you know, they've got everything to fight for. Very different game to Cambridge, where they were fighting for their lives. Yeah. They're fighting for automatics here. Yeah,
it's a very different game to Cambridge because of the quality they have in their team and the season that they've had as well. They're at a crucial point in their season now, and it's about characters now. I think it doesn't matter what you've done before. I think it's almost like 2-game season now. It's a playoff right now as we sit here. So it'll be interesting to see if their players have the character to push beyond obviously what they've done this season, because now is the work time for them. So yeah, I think everything they've done leading up to this is irrelevant now. It will be interesting to see how they react after that loss against Charlton and obviously only 2 games left.
They had such a good first half of the season where they looked set on one of the automatic spots. Lost their manager a few months ago to Luton. Form's been a bit indifferent since then, and you know, it's that time of the season where it tests character, doesn't it? And they've got a bit of that at the moment.
Yeah, it does. You know, obviously they had that disruption with the manager leaving. You know, they're on fire at the start of the season. You know, as you said, nailed on to be in one of the automatic spots. Had a couple of little wobbles, and you sense that since the manager's left, the new manager's come in, things aren't quite as smooth. But they've still been picking up results. They've been fairly consistent. But as Kev said, though, it's business end of the season now, isn't it? It's 2 games, and can they do what it takes to get over the line? They've come so far, but yeah, as I said, there's just a lot at stake. I think whoever can handle the occasion, the nerves, the tension, the best will kind of prevail. But they're a good team, powerful team, strong, athletic, very physical. So it'll be a real test for Orient, but a good game. Both teams in good form. Look, there's so much riding on it, so much at stake. So hopefully it's just a good game of football.
Last Saturday for them was, or Monday even, was maybe a bit of a blip. But before that 4-0 defeat, they'd only conceded 1 goal in their previous 6 games. Tight defence. Yeah. They get goals. They win games. It's a battle.
At this point in the season, they've broken a lot of men. So I feel it's unpredictable at the moment. We speak about all the good trades they have as a team and that they've had over the season. I think it means absolutely nothing now. I think it's down to the characters, and you look at some of their players that have just walked off the bus there, and I know a few of them that have played. They've been around for a long while. So looking at some of their squad, you would assume they've been in these situations before and they know how to handle it. But now they're gonna have to show it.
Their main man, Richard Coney, signed from I think it was the Homeless World Cup. He's come from nowhere, but what a striker he is. He's the one that we've got to watch out for today, isn't he?
Yeah, it was funny. I was watching that film yesterday, the Homeless World Cup. I didn't actually realise it was a true story, and he's come from humble beginnings, and I don't see this affecting him at all. When you've been through what he's been through, you develop certain characteristics that will last you through these moments. So I assume he will be alright. It's just about obviously the other 10, 11, 12 people in his team.
A sellout here in E10 as well, Joe. Feels like a massive game. They don't come much bigger than this, really. As Kevin said a minute ago, it feels like this is the playoff almost.
Yeah, there's just so much riding on it. I think everyone in the whole ground is aware of what's at stake, and it's just an excitement in it. Like seeing Orient in this position at the start of the season, especially with the way the season started. I don't think you could have ever predicted it. So there's so much expectation. I just hope that we can, the fans, everyone in the ground today, can transfer that into real positive energy and hopefully give the boys a lift out there.
This team's shown real character though. Yeah. There was a point where you're looking at the results and you're thinking, you bottled it. You can't handle the pressure, and the playoffs was out of reach at one point, and you're thinking the team, even the last game I came to watch, they looked at assaults, they looked like they were dead and brave, they looked like they were ready for pre-season, and they've bounced back, and they've put themselves in this situation now, so they've shown real good character.
Certainly have. And is that point of the season where you're looking at scores from around the ground near enough as much as you're looking at the match itself? Reading versus Bristol, they travelled to Bristol fighting for their lives, of course. We're level on points. Is that point of the season where we're looking at it? That's a big game over there, but we can only focus on what we do on this pitch right here.
That's it. And you know, as a player, you know, you just have to try as best as you can to block out everything. You know, what's going on in other games. You know, what the table's looking like. And you know, it just feels like, I remember you've got probably loads of family, friends you ain't spoken to for ages, wanting tickets to come and watch. Yeah. You know, there's no getting away from the occasion, but look, they just got to, you know, as Kev said, you know, we know this team, they've been written off time and time again. You know, whenever we feel like they're down and out, they come back and prove us wrong. So, you know, hopefully they've got enough to get over the line.
It's important, you speak about looking at other results, I don't think we need to. Like, fortunately for us, we're in that playoff position, so you can actually just focus. The issue becomes when you're having someone else to lose, and then that puts a little bit extra pressure on you. And I think the good thing about Orient and where we are at the moment is it's all in our hands, apart from the obviously goal difference. If Reading start scoring lots of goals, then you're sort of on edge. But at the moment, it's in our hands and in the lads' hands, and I'm sure, as I said before, the season these boys have had, this won't affect them because they've bounced back so many times.
Is it even in their heads at this point, Joe? When you're stepping out and crossing that white line, do you put any thoughts of that out your head and just focus on what's in front of you?
Yeah, you have to. You know, you have to just switch into game mode. And I think, like, you know, all those distractions, you just have to try and block out whatever's going on, whatever happens in the game. Even, you know, like, if the game don't start the way you want, concede an early goal, you just have to come back. And we know this team can do it. You know, there's absolutely no doubts about their character. You know, they've certainly, you know, got what it takes. So yeah, it's just about performing, going out there and getting the job done.
Well, the final scheduled home league fixture of the season, can the O's go one step closer to achieving and adding a couple more fixtures onto that list? To tell us all about it now, it's Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
And I'm afraid that Jack Coey hasn't been able to feature. He didn't pass the fitness test. It was a nasty challenge by Ryan Loft at Cambridge United.
Yeah, we had a good view of it. It was right in front of us. It was a nasty one.